Greetings, this is the Crunchy Fed, and I'll be doing this video as like a test what if, and to satisfy you guys because I won't be as active on YouTube as I usually am because my holidays are almost over and I have to go back to what I was doing before that. So anyway, this will be what if female deku was in a mobile task force. So you guys can come up with a name for the mobile task force, and I'll pick the highest rated ones and then put them in a poll once I've done with the stuff I'll be doing after on Thursday. So anyway, so this is Izumi, and these will be the members of her squad. This is Alexa, this is Zach, this is James, and this is Donovan. These are all members of her task force, and I do not own any of the art in this video. Like last time, all the art belongs to its original creators. Anyway, Izumi will be 18 years old in this. So YouTube won't come for my ass for this. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. So we'll begin at the beginning of our tale with Izumi being born to Hisashi and Inko Midoriya. As Izumi would have had a relatively normal childhood up until 4 years old, when she was diagnosed as quirkless. Now, in this one, Inko will still be a caring mother, like she was in canon, but Hisashi would be disgusted, as he will not be willing to have a quirkless person as his daughter. So, Inko would still raise Izumi, but Hisashi would basically abuse Izumi whenever Inko wasn't around. As this would go on for years, up until Izumi was 10 years old, when Hisashi basically abandons her. Now, the three of them live in the United States, so scratch that, they live in Japan, so Hisashi just abandoned her somewhere near Mount Fuji, because if I remember correctly, Mount Fuji is quite a isolated area, so not that many people go by there. Now in this universe, in this universe, quirkless people are treated worse than they are in canon, to where basically, if a child is found quirkless, the parents can choose to have that child dealt with or sold off. As Hisashi knew, something would have been up if Hisashi came home with a bunch of money and Izumi was nowhere about, so he just decided to abandon her because Hisashi is an actual idiot. As Izumi would basically be there by Mount Fuji until she was found. Now, Hisashi literally left nothing about him and Inko with Izumi. So basically nothing to designate her parents' names or her last name, because he basically got rid of her last name. So she's just Izumi. And I'll say during this time, one of the 05 council members, I'll say it was 05-4, was out for a walk, because it was sort of like one of his days off, as he would have found this young girl crying, as he would have walked up to her and asked her if she was okay. As Izumi would look up to them and say, "Who are you?" Now, if you're wondering why I'm saying them, it's because we don't have an official canonical gender for 05-4. Because sometimes they're male and sometimes they're female, so it's really hard to tell if they're male or female or not. Male or female. So I'll just use they when I'm talking about 05-4. And for the rest of the 05 Council, except for 05-1 because they've been canonically confirmed to be male. As 05-4 would introduce themselves with their name, as they would ask who Izumi is, as she would say that her name was Izumi. As 05-4 would say, why would they leave such a lovely young girl out by Mount Fuji? As Izumi would have said that her dad had abandoned her because she was quirkless. As 05-4 would have heard this and would have felt disgusted at the fact that somebody would abandon their own child over something so small as being quirkless. As 05-4 would say, "Listen, how about you come with me? I'll look after you." As Izumi would look up and say, "Really?" As 05-4 would say, "Yeah, come on." As 05-4 would take her to the SCP Foundation. Now, I'm going to assume here, because we don't have any canonical thing about this, I'm going to say that all of the 05 Council members stay at the Foundation facilities. So, Izumi is taken to one of the facilities by 05-4, as two guards would walk up to 05-4, as they would say, "05-4, is this an anomaly? And if so, we politely ask that you move away from it." As 05-4 would say, "No, this is no anomaly. This is just a child that I found abandoned on the side of the road. So I'll be taking her in as my own." As one of the guards would say, "But, ma'am," no, they'd say, 05-4, "this is very, very unprofessional. This could lead to a breach of Foundation secrecy." As 05-4 would say, "Would you, or if this is a violation of Foundation security, then what would happen if you disappeared?" As the guard would just freeze and say, never mind. Enjoy your day, 05-4. As 05-4 would say, "Good." As she'd continue walking through the facility, as Izumi would ask, "Why are they so afraid of you?" As Izumi would say, no, not Izumi, 05-4 would say that she is the lead. She is one of the higher ranking members of this foundation. So whatever she says goes. But if it comes to a large change, then it will need to be debated by the other 12 members. As Izumi would say, "Wait, there are more of you?" As 05-4 would say, "Yes, there are 13 of us altogether. each one, we are the O5 Council, and we are the highest ranking. We are basically the closest things people on the planet to being gods. As even me would then ask, what do you do in the O5 Council? As O5-4 would say, that little one is something you'll need to learn about when you have a higher security clearance. Because right now, since you're in the facility, you have no security clearance whatsoever. As Izumi would ask, how do I get higher security clearance then? As O5-4 would then say, well, you'll need to work through the ranks. The highest security clearance you can get as a normal Foundation personnel is level 4 clearance, but if you work closely with us, then you get level 5 clearance, which is only given out to certain few members and the O5 Council themselves. As Izumi's a fire would have sparked inside of Izumi, as she was now determined not to become a hero, but to climb through the ranks of the Foundation in order to get O5 clearance. As for the next couple years, Izumi would have been training, and eventually become a part of a mobile task force. And I'll say that she was a member of Pandora's Box before that mobile task force unit was disbanded. As we finally get to the current time when Izumi is 18 years old and is currently second in command of Mobile Task Force, the Mobile Task Force Alpha 1, the red right hand. As O5-4, as Izumi was basically going through a normal routine, as O5-4 would come into Izumi's quarters, I should say, Izumi, I think it's time for you to follow me. As Izumi would say, yes, ma'am. As she would be walking with O5-4. As O5-4 would say, I think it's time that you finally get what you had worked so hard for all these years. Due to the tragic loss of the captain of Alpha 1, due to a breach of SCP-096, I believe you you are now one of the second highest level peoples in the Foundation. Here, as she had handed her a red card, as in front of it, it would read O5, level O5 clearance. As Izumi would say, am I dreaming right now? Or is this actually real? I worked so hard to get to this level, and now I have it. It feels like a dream. As O5-4 would say, no time for tears now. Now then, due to you being the leader of Alpha 1, you now get your own you'll get your own team. But first, you need to go through something. As Izumi would look at her, as she would say, what do I have to go through? As O5-4 would say, well, in order for you, since you are the best that the Foundation has produced so far, you need to go through SCP. Give me a minute. As O5-4 would then say, you'll need to go through SCP-212, the Improver. I think I got that number right. If not, do leave in the comments below, because I do not, my memory's a bit rusty. As Izumi would say, wait, isn't that the one that basically improves somebody to the point where they perform better than the average person with cybernetics? As 05-4 would say, yes. Now, you'll have to go through this, and after that, I will introduce you to your team. As Izumi would say, okay, I'll do it. As Izumi would then go through the improvements on her, as parts of her were taken out and replaced until she looked like how she does in the picture. Now, the decal on this was her choosing, as 05-4 would come through after Izumi's improvements were done, as she would say, oh, I see you have chosen that your decal to look like your favorite brand, your favorite motorcycle brand. As Izumi would say, yeah. To be honest, I actually was thinking about this for a while, if I were to go through this. So the decal was sort of premeditated. As 05-4 would then say, well then, let me introduce you to your team. As she would introduce her to, Alex, Zach, James, and Dominic, I believe I said his name was. Yeah. As they would all stand up and basically salute to Izumi, as they'd say, we are awaiting your orders, ma'am. As Izumi would then say, well then, this is a bit of a surprise to behold. As 05-4 would walk out of the room, as Izumi would then say, at ease, I'll be right back. As she would then follow 05-4, as 05-4 would then say, Izumi, ever since I found you that day, you've always been a very good person, and I want you to stay that way. Do not let this foundation turn you into what most of the 05 are. And I've always treated you as if you were my own, so please, stay the way you are. Do not change. As Izumi would then hug 05-4, as she'd say, I'll keep the way I am, I promise. As she'd then say, 05-4 would then say, good. Now then, your first mission, you are to go and deal with some members of the Chaos Insurgency. We got news that they were attacking a Foundation base somewhere. As Izumi would then say, okay, I'll deal with it. Now, I'm just going to say in this timeline, Bakugo and Izumi were really good friends, and Bakugo didn't really care that Izumi was quirkless, and Bakugo actually defended her from the bullies. But after Izumi went missing, Bakugo was sort of saddened by this, as he actually would have been spending the last 8 years looking for Izumi. So UA is a college, and Bakugo will join it at the age of 18. As Izumi would have went with her team to deal with the Chaos Insurgency. As when they got there, they were using some of the higher grade technology. So they do have some invisibility devices that they use. So they're basically sneaking around while the Chaos Insurgency is sort of like sweeping through the facility. As two members of the Chaos Insurgency that were attacking the base, I'll say there are 16 in total. So each member of Izumi's task force has to deal with two of them. As the two members that Izumi had to deal with were walking down the hallway, and they would have heard something thudding on the metal behind them. As they would turn around, as Izumi would immediately disable her invisibility, as the two members of the Chaos Insurgency would then open fire, with Izumi then basically dodging all of them, all of the bullets that were coming towards her, due to the improver also sort of like decreasing her perception of time, so stuff is slower to her when in combat, sort of like an adrenaline rush. As Izumi would then basically grab one of these members' wrists and sort of like twist the gun back towards them and fire it, which would hit the guy who was holding it, as the other would have gotten the same treatment, as they would have both collapsed to the ground dead. As Izumi's team would have also dealt with the other members, as they were all taken out fairly swiftly. And that is where I'm going to end it off. And if you guys want me to go into detail about Izumi's cybernetics, do let me know. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Ta-ta!